I'm going to share 5 common mistakes that pet parents do when giving their dogs a chew bone or something to chew on. And while I talk through these really important mistakes to avoid, Finn is going to be chewing on and answers pig foot. Yes, you heard me correctly, and I'll talk more about what it is and why I feed this to Finn at the end of the video, so stay tuned. But before we jump into the first tip, I want to talk a little bit about the 2 different types of chew bones that I give my dogs. And of course, when I reference bones for my dogs, I'm only referring to completely raw, not cooked, not smoked bones. So for the first type of bone, they're edible bones. And what I mean by edible bones are hollow bones, soft bones, bones that my dogs can eat. Examples of this are raw chicken feet, neck bones, wings, and the next are non-edible bones that are used for recreational use to chew on, to tire them out mentally, and to clean their teeth. Most common examples that I've seen are knuckle bones, raw marrow bones, femur bones. These are bones that the dogs can't really, even if they're raw, can't really break down easily and really shouldn't and should not consume. It's more about chewing on it. Let's talk about these common mistakes that I'm seeing all too often, which can lead to health and medical concerns with your dog. Haven wants to join in. Mwah. So the first mistake is not reducing your dog's total caloric amount. Oh gosh. Not, go lay down, baby. Is not not reducing your dog's total caloric amount of food when you're giving them treats or bones, especially for the edible bones. So anytime I give Finn a pig's foot like this, I will always reduce his total meal amount for that day by just a little bit. And the reason I put this so early in the video is it is critical to your dog's health and longevity. Over half of dogs in the world are overweight, and this shortens your dog's life by at least 2 years on average. And so it's absolutely critical for me that when I give my dogs anything other than their meal, whether it be treats, raw recreational bone, or an edible bone, that I'm reducing the food that I give them at mealtime by just a little bit. That way they're not over consuming on calories and they're not gonna gain weight over time. Keeping your dog lean and healthy can add years to their life, so do not take this one lightly. For this next mistake, too many people are making this, and it's making me so concerned and worried for your dogs, and that is choosing a bone for your dog that is too small. My general rule of thumb, what I follow for my dogs, is I don't give them a bone that's much smaller than their head. Ultimately, I need to make sure that my dogs can never swallow the bone whole. I have seen way too many, I work with hundreds to thousands of you, and I've seen way too many situations where a dog who for years has eaten the same size bone for the longest time, a small bone, and then for whatever reason, they try to swallow it, it gets lodged in their throat. It's not a good situation. So I just err on the side of going larger if you're not sure. Way too many people I see are letting their dogs chew their bone unsupervised. And to me, unsupervised even means letting your dog chew the bone in the living room and then you're in the kitchen cooking. If you are not in direct line of sight with your dog while they're chewing a bone within arm's reach, that's my guideline, arm's reach of being able to grab that bone if needed, then to my opinion, you're too far away. No, I do not recommend leaving bones in a crate with your dog. Now, I do recommend, you guys know I have a ton of crate training videos linked down below, to have your dog chew a bone in a crate. I think it's a great way to keep the mess contained, but you need to be right next to them. And on that similar note, I know many of you have multiple dogs, and what I do not recommend is giving your dogs bones at the same time in the same area in the house, because what I notice with my dogs is if they're in the same room chewing bones, they try to finish their bone faster so then they can go get the other one's bone. And while this is kind of funny and cute, it's not safe. The goal should not be for your dog to eat their bone as quickly as possible. That's when dangerous things can happen, and that's what we want to avoid. So we want our dogs to be able to feel comfortable to eat their bone in leisure and to take their time and to do it ultimately safely. I mentioned this next one earlier, but I want to make this so uber clear. I never, ever, ever recommend to feed a cooked bone, smoked bone, or even a rawhide. These are bones that can break off in chunks because they're brittle and can cause a major choking hazard. So I, in no situation, recommend any bones like that, especially rawhides. I mean, they're not even bones in the way that they're manufactured. In fact, I have a video linked up here and down below, more on rawhides and chews that I do like for my dog. In my opinion, even those greenies that you've seen, I don't want to call out like a brand name, but like those dental chews that are green and whatever, like those things are just full of chemicals. Go look at the ingredient panel. They're just full of stuff that dogs don't need. I have a couple bonus tips that I've never seen anybody else talk about here on YouTube. But then after that, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what Finn is eating and why I'm feeding it to him, because it's actually pretty incredible. So for the first bonus tip, did you know that you can actually teach your dog how to chew on a bone correctly, regardless of their age? I mean, as long as they have their adult teeth in and they're not too young of a puppy, the best way to do that, what I did with Finn, is you can hold the bone. Obviously, if your dog has resource and aggression issues, work with a behaviorist. But with Finn, when he was young, he would try to swallow a chicken foot or duck wing whole. And obviously that's not safe. So to teach him to actually just chew and gnaw on it, I would hold it in my hand and I would feed it to him. Here's the bonus tip: frozen. And I would hold it while he would chew on it. And over time he learned, okay, I actually get to enjoy this more, because dogs get pleasure out of the gnawing motion. So he learned that, okay, it's frozen, so it's harder to swallow, and mom's holding it, so this is actually enjoyable. And over time, even though I had a gulper, he learned how to chew it. Then on that same note though, what I really want to make sure you guys understand, something that some people just have a hard time grasping, not all dogs, in my opinion, should be given chew bones or raw recreational bones to chew on, because some dogs are just too aggressive of a chewer, and you have to be your dog's best advocate, and you have to recognize that your dog may just not eat bones safely. You may have to crush the bones for your dog or feed them a pre-made food if you want to make sure they get their calcium from their bones. But if you want to give your dog a chew bone, something to chew on like a marrow bone, your dog may not be able to do that safely, especially if your dog has had dental work or you have a really senior dog that has really fragile, brittle teeth. Those are dogs that I'd be really, really cautious with feeding a bone to. And it is unfortunate because I love giving my dogs bones, but if my dogs were always trying to swallow the bones or they were really aggressive, powerful chewers, it may not be smart, because yes, a risk is that your dog will chip their tooth, and that's not something that your dog wants to go through or that you want to go through, for the emotional side of it as well as the financial side of it. Now, for what Finn is chewing on, this is a pig's foot. Yes, I know, it's completely raw. I'm feeding this to Finn because it takes him upwards of an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and he is a power chewer to get through. I feed it to him frozen, of course. He loves the flavor of it. This replaces a big portion of his food for the day, and it's a great way to give him some natural nutrition. The pig's foot comes from Answers Pet Food, where I got from my local independent pet store. It is soaked in kombucha, which is a fermentation, and so it has a lot of healthy probiotics for Finn, a lot of healthy fats, healthy proteins. It's a great way to clean his teeth. The pig came from a responsibly raised, humanely raised pig. I'll give him this pig's foot once a month, once every other month on average. Another pro tip is you can feed these bones outside. I like to take a book, sit out maybe in the sun or the shade if it's really hot, and let my dogs eat it outside because they can get messy. I do, as I mentioned before, I feed these bones, whether it's an edible one or one for them to chew on, frozen. One thing to consider and make sure of is if you're giving your dog a raw marrow bone, it's typically like a femur bone that's like bone for the first time. I love letting my dogs eat the marrow out of it. If it's your dog's first time, it can cause a little digestive upset because the marrow is so rich. It's packed with nutrients. It's very healthy for them, but it can cause a little bit of loose stool. I've seen that in a lot of foster dogs. So I just let them chew on the marrow bone. Chew on the marrow for a little bit, and then I give them a break, and then I let them try in another day or two just to get their body adjusted to it. Now, when you guys give your dogs bones, please take a picture or video and tag me on Instagram or Facebook at Rachel Fasaro. I love seeing dogs gnaw and chew on things. I think it's one of the most naturally beautiful things to witness because it's what dogs were meant to do. That's why their jaw and their mouth is formed the way it is. If you guys want to see what I feed my dogs, you can click the video right here. And if you want to see one of my favorite supplements that I give my dogs, you can click the video right here and click that subscribe button. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Goodbye.